So we're going to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant and some of his comments on Twitter, going back and forth with some fans about FIBA rules versus NBA rules. So Kevin Durant was responding to some Twitter personalities, not shocking for Kevin Durant. That's why we love him or hate him, I guess. It says, so there was a user who said, please NBA adopt more FIBA rules and let us see the best really think the game and play the game like it's meant to be played. And that's something we also talked about we talked about that on our last episode where, the rules are different than the NBA and there might be some stuff that we want to carry over to the NBA and see how that goes. Kevin Durant responded to this by saying, I swear y'all just be yapping what rules you want to see, man. The user responded, I want to see the 3 seconds back and that's it. Yeah. So he wants the defensive 3 seconds to be removed from the NBA, I think is what he's saying. Keep the threes the same, so I think that's the length of the 3-point line. Can't knock off the rim, that's dumb. So he doesn't want the goaltending rules to be the same. Kevin Durant said if you want to eliminate the defensive 3 seconds, then the games will be slower. Do you want to start on that point? Do you have any thoughts about like how the game would be slower just because the paint's clogged up? There's less like
Right. I think
room
that
to.
when you're forced to pass out, if you have no defensive 3 seconds and guys can just camp in the paint, it takes a little bit longer to find a shot on a given possession for your team. So the possessions themselves might be longer, which would make the game slower because you don't get as much volleying between the two teams. But I think that like the game being a little bit slower is whatever. The speed of the game is why I think I'd be for or against defensive 3 seconds. Like if I was somebody that wanted that rule, it would be more for the highlight athletic plays, particularly inside.
Mhm.
And if I want defensive 3 seconds, it wouldn't be to make the game slower. It would be to make defense, easier to play.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit more intuitive because like people are currently like tap dancing in and out of the paint trying to, time their help right and all of that stuff. And that's just like kind of weird.
Jokic got a
Yeah.
couple blocks today in the game just because he was just sitting in the paint and, positioned himself around the rim, and it
Yeah.
made it a little bit easier for him to be like a rim protector that we don't
Maybe
always
we
see.
should just make it more time. Like maybe it should be 4 seconds. Like that could make a
Hmm.
pretty big difference if you just have a little bit more of a buffer.
That'd
I
be
don't know
interesting.
that it has to be 5, but I think that'd be just interesting to see how just adding another, like, second
Second,
length that people could be in there,
I try that
um,
rather than just
but
like, removing it completely.
yeah,
And I'm definitely
eliminating
not at
it.
the stage where I'd be like willing to do that right now. But anyways, KD was going back and forth with this individual. Basically, the crux of this is that Kevin Durant said, the beauty of basketball is not calling all them sets, but playing off instincts and letting the talent dictate the game. Getting out in transition, driving and kicking, playing random basketball. If you want a trick play every possession like it's football, that's not why our game is beautiful. So
I thought this was so interesting. There are so many layers here.
yeah, Kevin Durant, he's kind of known as like a pure hooper. He just wants to play. He's a
Just wants
pure
to hoop.
scorer. He's one of the
Just wants
best
to get
scorers,
buckets.
playing the beautiful game in Golden State and just being a happy basketball player. And he seems like he's still in the pursuit of that, though. He looks pretty happy in the Olympics right now, which is kind of fun to see him like smiling after these like performances. But this is this interesting debate between random basketball and, organized set play basketball. That was something we even talked about in our playoff reactions because Jamal said in post game interviews versus the Wolves that it was a little too much random basketball and not enough organization. Yeah, it's like reading and reacting is definitely a part of basketball and it is a beautiful thing.
Wait,
And
Jamal said after the Wolves that they had not enough organization?
yeah, after one of the games, it was mid series where he said, a little too much random basketball, not enough organization. So after game two, Jamal was asked about his calf and if that was bothering him. He tried to like kind of play it off, said he felt good enough. He said he's not going to make excuses. Everyone's playing through something. And then he said, we weren't organized, and that's partly my fault. Too many little empty possessions, especially against the number one defense. Too many empty possessions playing right into their hands. We're a great random basketball team. We play great off the field and the flow, but we've got to be a little more organized. That was one of the most key factors for him, is what he said. So it kind of gets back to what Kevin Durant was saying, where it's like the basketball, the random feel, and the flow is a great like state to be in, especially when you play with Nikola Jokic, who like he's so good at decision making and reading, and it keeps you a little unpredictable. But part of what a lot of people are talking about right now too, on the counter side to that, is that the Nuggets got a little stagnant. So I can see it like they're not totally separate. And this is something that Kevin Durant also said. You can randomly set a screen, you can randomly back cut, you can randomly make a pass to the open man. So it's not like these things are both mutually exclusive. You can run pick and roll with Jokic, and then from that, part of it can be random, and Jokic can do what he does best, and
Yeah.
create and create opportunities. And maybe the Nuggets relied too much on that organized set play of the pick and roll in hopes that the random basketball would
Yeah.
be enough to carry them. So you
Yeah,
always have to find,
that's where I agree.
yeah, so you have to find a balance between that, right? I don't even know necessarily that FIBA basketball demands more set plays.
Yeah, that's where I disagree with Kevin Durant, actually. So I think that part like this discussion flows from, oh, is it the fact of the discussion, the defensive 3 seconds that makes it so you have to have more set plays to get good shots versus playing random basketball? I actually completely disagree with that. I think there are a lot fewer set plays that I've seen in these FIBA games compared to the NBA. And I like whether that's good or bad. Like, I don't think that that is related, like the fact of like the FIBA rules making it so that there's more less random play and um, more set plays, more organized offense. But he also made that comment about I think the fan that he was interacting with there made the comment about what it means to be a more talented versus a less talented team playing random versus organized offense. Do you have an opinion on what a less talented team should do?
I guess if you are a little
Because I
less
think there's
talented,
arguments for both.
yeah, I guess one would be like if you're less talented, you may need more like organization to take advantage of, if you've been scouting a team and you can like employ a specific game plan to try to give yourself a
Mm,
little bit of an edge, maybe set
right.
organization would help. And I think like, you can look at the stats and, points per possession on set plays versus, random plays. It may be hard to like watch the game and classify what's random and what's set. I mean, I think a lot of analysts are really good at doing that, and you can recognize these patterns with set plays and look at it and say this is a set play, or it's a sideline out of bounds or baseline out of bounds, whatever, that's a set play. But so from that standpoint, maybe a less talented team needs more organization because it's just like you have less to fall back on instinctually.
Yeah, I think it depends on whether the talent is athleticism or skill, where the gap
Right.
is, right? I
Right.
think that you could make an argument that if you're at an athleticism disadvantage, but you're at a skill either advantage or you're even, then playing random makes a lot more sense because everybody on the floor knows how to read and react and can do different things at different parts of the floor. And because you're at an athleticism disadvantage, you have to find other ways to like catch the defense off guard. But maybe if you're like a more athletic team, but you're at a skill disadvantage, you have to. So, for example, this is maybe what I would actually consider the Nuggets to be, right? Where I wouldn't say they're at a skill or athleticism disadvantage, but certain players
Yeah.
are kind of more inclined to one or the other. And so if you're more athletic, but you're more limited in your skill set, maybe um you have to uh take part in certain roles of the offense and not others. So a more read and react heavy offense would maybe put you at a disadvantage because you couldn't do every single thing that, like more talented or more skilled players could in different parts of the floor. I think it's an interesting discussion because it kind of gets to the heart of what is it that makes the game like to me the beautiful game is the game that makes basketball like easy, right? The highlight like crazy isolation plays where guys are making really tough shots, like those are great. But I think even Kevin Durant when he's referring to like the beauty of the game there, getting in that flow state and all of that is when everybody's in a rhythm and everything just looks easy for everyone on the floor. I think it depends on the players, actually. I think it depends on your personnel. And I don't know that that means that you have to be more or less talented to prefer one style or the other. I think it just depends on what is it that you should do to maximize everybody's skill sets. Generally speaking, I would say if you're less skilled slash less talented, you probably need set plays.
Right. if you're less
because
skilled
you
in
need
athletic.
something to help organize you,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I think it's hard to get a like full grip on the game either way. Like I think it would be almost impossible to like every possession you're calling a set play. I mean, you can have your playbook and, go down and call a set play, but oh
Tell
man, it's
that to
just
Jamal Mosley, who walks up and down the court every possession to tell the
to
Orlando
try and do
Magic what
that.
they should run. Otherwise, they're going to turn the ball over in transition.
I think you just
Great
like
example of this, actually.
you need both for sure. It's just a matter of the situation and yeah, like you said, the players and the team and it's playoffs versus regular season. Obviously, you may be doing more of your base sets in the regular season, obviously. So this was kind of like why we wanted to watch the Olympics is some of this discussion, and I just didn't think we'd be getting it from Kevin Durant and
Yeah,
random
on
fans.
Twitter.
But I guess I should have
Maybe we
expected
should have
that.
expected it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also don't know if he means like aesthetically from the outside watching the game or if he means it's beautiful
Or like from
playing
the
the
player
game. He's a
perspective,
player.
right?
Maybe he means both.
And he doesn't like running sets. And I don't know who does, right? You got to like remember stuff, you got to do certain things, all of this. And players aren't brought up doing these things when they go through like the AAU circuit. I wonder if different players that, learned basketball different ways would feel differently about this question. Like, do you prefer when you run, lots of set plays? I will say though, when he makes the comment at the very beginning of this, that was something like, that's like he was comparing it to running a football play, and he said that that's not what the beauty of the game is. But I think unless he's playing like talking specifically from the player perspective, like I hope he's not talking for fans or the audience, because I think that different people find different aspects of the game to be beautiful, or like the most beautiful, their favorite part of the game, right? Some people love those like tough highlight shots, and that's like their favorite part of the game, and other people are like elated when you see just like a nice like 5-on-3 fast break or whatever, and somebody gets an easy shot because there was just lots of passing or whatever it is. And I actually think that some people, particularly the nerds, love a good ATO, and they're just like, oh my gosh, this
Hmm.
will result in a beautiful shot every time because there's only so much you can do to guard this set or whatever it is, from the fan perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that that was perhaps a little bit dismissive. If he is speaking from the fan perspective, and like you said, he might just be speaking from like, oh, for as a player, there's like what makes the game beautiful is not running after timeouts or whatever. I think fans find different parts of basketball to be, make them feel elated.
It's funny too because I think one of the biggest plays that was being pointed out with Kevin Durant's game against Serbia was one particular play where Anthony Edwards like did this 45 cut and
Right.
then the defender went with him instead of staying with Durant, which gave him an open three on the weak side. So it's like kind of
I was
funny
like,
that
how did Kevin Durant get open?
yeah,
Like,
it's
oh,
like
well, it's because you had to go help on that cut.
yeah, you're making these tough,
Otherwise, you were giving up a layup.
the defenders are making these tough decisions. The USA has so many threats. And it's funny, Kevin Durant being like the beautiful game, the randomness. And it's like that was a set play that got him a wide open shot. And then he was like in rhythm, he could pull up just from anywhere after that. And he was like perfectly fine
Yeah.
and comfortable. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
And
kind of
I think
funny.
it's funny that he go because he hasn't like teams that he's been on haven't really played like the beautiful game really since he left Golden State
Yeah, I know, right?
5 years ago, because he left after 2019. So,
It's true.
there's
He's
that.
on the search. He's a nomad. He's searching for the beautiful ball.
Yeah, I hope Kevin Durant gets to play a little bit of the kind of basketball that he claims to love so much, because he hasn't really been doing that in the NBA for the last few years.
Well, maybe like these players like Evan Fournier and Durant and people playing in FIBA and the Olympics right now bring some of that back with them in the NBA because we talked last episode with Voya about how playing some time with your national team in a tournament like this can really improve your game in the NBA next season. So we'll see if any of that carries over.
All right. So you guys should definitely follow us on Instagram, because I am starting to post more show clips and updates there as well. But yeah, the Olympics are like, they go by pretty quickly. I think the bronze and gold medal games are on the 10th. So that's in 10 days. This was a good episode.
Yes, fun discussion.
Don't you think so?
Yes.
Don't you think so, Will?
If you think so listening, then please like the video
Oh, yeah.
now.
You guys get to decide if it was good. Yes, but please remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all the things on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. If you're listening there, you probably already know that. We're also on TikTok. What's in a game NBA with like periods in between each word. I haven't posted anything there yet, but I'm working on it. Okay. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.